The hood is a beautiful place. We just really got to fix some of these concepts that's there, because everything that's great in this country has come from us, and majority of us come from where? The hood, including what you do. Hip hop was
Right.
born out of the hood, out of the struggle, out of poverty, without having
Mm-hmm.
resources to even make your own music. You got to go sample records from your mama and them collection. Like
Right.
we didn't have the access. So struggle is real, but it's not a bad thing if we understand how to use it and use it as a tool for us to better ourselves. Which brings me to this next question. And I speak about this because I've watched you for years, bro. So I don't know you, but I feel like I know something about you. I've watched you for years. I've listened to your music for years, and you've always been a person that was never shy of giving your opinion, particularly when it comes to this system, right? Um, so since we're talking about purpose, and I'll give my spin after you. What do you feel, if you feel there is a purpose to this? What do you feel is the purpose for white supremacy, if that's a thing?
Oh man. White supremacy is, let me start from strictly a primal animal natural order point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the creation, evolution, de-evolution, whatever you want to call it, the thing that creates the European, the Caucasian, there had to be a construct just to survive. Because if we just did kumbaya, we would absorb the European back into people of color.
Mm-hmm.
It's already kind of happening anyway. The prediction was like 2050 most, and now you kind of see it. Everybody kind of, all the kids kind of look the same. Little stupid nigga hair look like a Q-tip, kind of curly. He don't know what he is. He's, you know, it's they don't know what ethnic it is. Oh, and then they're like, I'm triracial, I'm biracial, whatever, all that stuff. People are already becoming these things, and then we'll make new countries, and they'll think they're some kind of race, and that's what happens. That's pretty much the difference between, you know, Thai and Filipino, and, you know, all this. It's just small little ingredients, isolated, thinks it's some new thing. The language changes, whatever. So I think on a primal, primitive stage, white supremacy is a defense mechanism to not get wiped out genetically. On a bigger civil level, civilization level, it's a construct created again primarily because they would be wiped out. Minority, how does the minority, you know, retain control? I don't know what that
is. You hear noise?
Yeah, I don't hear it now.
Okay,
it's good now. But yeah, so the minority had to come up with a way to isolate who it wanted to be, its identity, to make and to figure out ways to stay the majority when they're in the minority. And that's, you know, that's the idea of white. It's a construct. Same thing, black's a construct. But white is, you know, same thing, Western civilization. So if you actually look at it, like the Greeks create the Romans, then the Holy Roman Empire, then the British Empire to the American Empire. And that was white, right? But then they got even more selective and decided that Southern Europeans aren't as white. Like they started playing, and they started picking the white that they wanted. So then white really was only like Nordic, blue-eyed blonde hair. And how that could go from, you know, the Netherlands and just jump all the way across to England. That got funny. They missed all the niggas in the middle. They missed the niggas at the bottom. They missed the niggas more to the east. They trying to, you know what I'm saying, the Baltic people. So now they're like, well, you're like more brown. You know, you kind of more like Indians and Turkish. Think, no, we don't like that shit. So they kind of designed what they wanted to be. And then you come to America, and then white supremacy decided they really just wanted British and Germans still until the Italians and the Irish came. And then they still had to barter. So they've been bartering. They almost allowed Indians from India to be white. You know what I'm saying? I think they kind of did a bargain recently, kind of where Asians get to be white as long as, like, you know.
They're like,
you know what I'm saying? They're playing, it's a game. It's a game of have or us against them, but them against us because they started the game. So it's an identification that they use for them to cheat the rest of the world. Is really what I see white supremacy is, and it's not based on supremacy. It's actually based on being inferior.
I
They
asked
got to
that
teach you to
question.
beat you. Yeah.
They got to do what again?
They got to teach you to beat you. It's never about a fair start. If you were just better than me, then you'd say, hey, shit, if I'm Superman, I'd be like, go ahead. I'll give you 10 minutes. I'll still smoke you. I'm the Flash. Their supremacy is always based on changing the game, redlining, you understand what I'm saying? Lynching, intimidation, theft, murder, rape. It's always misinformation, miseducation. DeSantis now the same thing, so-called woke, where now you're hurting white kids if you tell them the truth about what history was. So it's about lying. It's always been about lying. Jesus is white. Egypt is in, Egypt is not African. You know what I'm saying? The Arabs are in on that one now. It's that. It's always going to be that. It's not based. White supremacy is always based on full lies because it can't exist with true facts.
That's deep. You said they got to teach you to beat you. It reminded me of that scene in 300 where that king, I forgot what they called him, what was his name? The guy, the lead role in 300. Spartacus.
Leonidas.
That was his name?
Leonidas. King Leonidas.
Oh, that was 300. That's the wrong one. Gladiator.
Oh, Spartacus.
Yeah, where he was the slave, and then he came back, and then the guy that was the king, he couldn't beat him unless he stabbed him. You know what I mean? Had to cheat a little bit. Yeah. Now, remember post-traumatic hood disorder. It's a disorder of the mind because the mind is the engine that controls it all for each human being. And with this white supremacy concept, I have a whole different take on it than a lot of people. I've studied a lot of that stuff, but I look at it from a perspective of where we at now psychologically as people. Right. And it's come to the point that I'm asking, like, have we allowed white supremacy to pause our purpose? Like they're doing it and it's happening because it's supposed to happen that way, or we are allowing it to happen. We're choosing to continually let it happen. Because again, knowing a lot of the information, yes, it fits the mold. We need to know the facts of where it comes from. But after you know the facts, as they say, when you know better, you're supposed to do better. What's stopping us from doing better than what white supremacy has brought us psychologically?
I was watching some brother from the Nation of Islam, and he was just talking about how we spent our money. And he said, we are, it's something I always say, but he said it so much more concise. I'll try to paraphrase him because I know I won't quote him correctly, but basically he said, we are 99% consumer, and we buy stuff from people who hate us to impress people we don't know. I remember that part of it.
I remember that. I heard that. I think. Yeah.
And so we're almost a better white supremacist than the white man now, as a collective people.
Honestly, yeah.
We don't love each other. We will forgive them for murder and killing us constantly, economically, spiritually, in every realm of how you could hurt somebody. We allow them, and we take it out on each other. And you know, I was having this conversation in New York with a brother of mine about a month ago, and he's just like, "We're doomed." I was trying not to laugh because I was like, "Bro, man, you can't say that." He's like, "Man, look at the young dudes, look at the old, look at our era. The ones that got it, they sold us out." And I was like, "Man, everything he said was valid." I hated to admit it, and I hate, you know, I was like, and that's like, this is extremely the time where we can't give up hope because it looks bad. I'm not gonna lie. I look at my condition and the fight I've been having for 25 years, thinking some brother, you know, in my industry would pull a hand and say, "Hey man, I see what you're doing and let's move forward." They're not here. You know, we don't have, you know, we don't. Our heroes aren't heroic. Our celebs are created for us. Our leaders are selected for us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't respect the grassroots, so you can't, you know what I'm saying? So even the ones that try to lead, you know, and the ones that are doing the real grunt work, we ignore them. We talk shit about them. We don't support them. And it's not sustainable. I don't have the answer. I just know we are not sustainable and we're digressing. And because of some of the factors that you said about family, you know, we have these kids that don't know who they are. And I'm watching Asians do it too. Asian women are like the highest people fucking white men. Like they just they jump, they swing on the white man's dick. And I've said it in front of them. I say it in front of their men. I say it in front of them. Like the self-hatred in the Asian community is amazing. And I don't understand, you know, it's the bargain. It's the Faustian bargain. At least you're not a nigga and you come in. But how far until you fuck white, until you're not who you are anymore? Same thing I say to anybody. Like, you know, you can be black and what? Oh, you like, you know, you only like light-skinned people. So how far do you keep fucking? How many white people you were great-grandkid? Because I could turn white within 3 generations. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I fuck the white lady, have the kid, brainwash them, be old Uncle Tom ass, you know what I'm saying, Clarence Thomas ass nigga, and then have me another white kid that had a white grandkid, and they'll keep my last name, but the motherfucker won't be, genetically will not be me. You know, it'll be the other people that I kept in my name. And if that happens because of natural love, but a lot of people are so into hating themselves, they're doing it strictly for that, on some primal survival shit. They're looking at who's dominant and waging their bet that, well, at least I'll be better if I just bow down. If I can be like them, and then you're not you anymore. So I don't know, man. I've it's been something as I've been looking inward at myself about, you know, my I was actually in the store and I was thinking, you'll praise me later. I'm not gonna lie. That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't know how this story ends for Ras Kass, but you will discover and you will praise me later for the things I wrote that nobody listened to for the past 20 years. Niggas still talking about Soul on Ice. You have no idea the body of work and the things that I've been writing and whatever. And you can ignore them. The people can ignore them. But when your ass in that desert, and maybe in 100 years, 1,000 years, you will discover me and you will praise me for giving a fuck about y'all. But niggas is dumb. And niggas are bigger ass kissers of the white man than what I said the Asians were. They just don't realize it.
I ain't on no plantation, waiting on vacation. No plans of escaping and praying for reparations. Looking to the sky for a savior. How long it's gonna take you before you realize they played you? Made you submit to what you was sold by passer. Realize passer appointed by slave master. To get in your mind, then break your will. Turn the other cheek instead of barbecuing. Beef me, my pedigree.